I think there are three illusions fueling the state that a lot of people are in there of it just not making any sense how Trump could be either winning or close to winning a second term. And it's worth talking about these illusions because they put into context the process of historical change, deterioration of trust in democratic institutions, democratic decline that we're experiencing now. The first illusion is the belief in teleology, the belief that we are with ebbs and flows, as Barack Obama likes to say, nevertheless moving in principle, if not in practice, toward some kind of species-wide civilization where we share institutions and market mechanisms that are reasonably universal and work in a friendly way, and we've converged on all of it. And of course, in our culture, the great advocate of this idea, Francis Fukuyama, has himself, since writing his celebrated article in 1989, de-Fukuyama'd himself every couple of years by depleting the strength of his position. There is something that goes together with this half belief in teleology, and that's a belief in the possibility of reversion, the belief that no matter how bad Trump is, that you can always go back to a world without Trump, as though Trump were an aberration and never happened. Now, of course, Trump himself will stay in American politics, whether he wins or loses, and will play a very significant role. But even if he just evaporated and went to live in Tahiti, the problem of Trump wouldn't go away. It'd actually get worse, whether Trump's with us or not. What's clear from this election is that the currents that Hillary Clinton was in a very self-immolating and inept way working against in 2016 have got worse. The pool of right-wing populism is stronger and will continue to get stronger, and we need to start developing mechanisms to counter it, and believing in turning back the page to where we were before ain't gonna help. The second illusion that's really important is the illusion that you can sort of abstract away, idealize away your political opponents from the table of politics if you find them despicable or beyond the pale. But you're not in an intellectual disagreement with them. They're not going to go away just because you think they're wrong or despicable. You've got to sit and share the table of politics with whoever is at that table, unless they're directly threatening physical violence. And you have to have a very low bar for what it is for them to have a responsible and reasonable position. And it's this extraordinary disrespect of voters, combined with their sense, not just of being disempowered, but of having no way to inflect the way the world's going. It's proved to be very, very toxic. The third illusion that's very important is that where we are at now is not at all a product of centrist politics itself. Now, let's be clear, this is not some kind of advocacy for a right-wing or a left-wing politics. I'm purely talking about the mechanisms of democratic decline and the fact that it's Joe Biden's politics that is, to a very great extent, responsible not just for the existence of Trump, but for the existence of the sort of thing that Trump is. And of course, one of the great dangers of a term or two of Biden or Kamala Harris is that at the end of that, we may get an even worse Trump if we don't get into the deep conversation I'm not going to get into in this video about how centrist politics is itself responsible for the fact that it's now feeling like it's losing friction, it's losing grip, it's losing the ability to compel voters to its side. Now, this sounds like a terribly pessimistic story, but it's actually not, because it's only if we understand reality as it is that we will be able to say, yes, this is bad, but at least it's not unintelligible, and we can respond to it as best we can and do so in a politically realistic and efficacious way. So this is not actually a message of unmitigated pessimism.